Have you ever stood in front of a woman, wondering if she wanted you, but the silence between you felt louder than words? She doesn't say it. She doesn't spell it out. Yet there's this energy, this pull, this unspoken communication that leaves you confused, questioning, is she into me or am I just imagining it? Now pause and think about this. How many opportunities in your love life have slipped away, not because she wasn't interested, but because you couldn't read the signs? That silent glance, that subtle lean forward, the way her voice softens, these are not accidents. They are the ancient language of attraction. But here's the problem. Most men are blind to it. They're noisy in their minds, full of doubt, overthinking, and missing what is right in front of them. So here's my question for you. What if you could decode her lust in silence? What if you could finally see the truth in her actions, without her ever needing to say a word? If that idea excites you, stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal 10 timeless suggestions from Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, that will help you sharpen your awareness, control your emotions, and recognize the unspoken signals of desire. And trust me, once you learn to see through the noise, your love life will never be the same again. Before we begin, I want you to do 3 things. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I promise to keep giving you wisdom that will elevate your relationships and your mind. Hit that like button because when you do, this video spreads to more people who might need it. And most importantly, watch this video all the way until the end, because missing even one of these Marcus Aurelius suggestions could mean missing the very sign she was giving you. All right, let's set the stage. The story before the signs. Picture Rome nearly 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, sits in his tent at the edge of the battlefield. His empire stretches wide, yet his greatest enemy is not the barbarians across the river, but the chaos of human passions, fear, lust, anger, pride. He writes in his private journal, what we now call meditations, simple reminders to himself. Control your mind. Watch the world carefully. Do not be ruled by desire, but understand it. Now fast forward to you standing across from a woman today. She's not going to announce, I want you. Instead, she reveals it in whispers, a sideways glance, a nervous laugh, the way she lingers when she could have walked away. But if your mind is clouded, if you're restless, insecure, or needy, you will miss it. This is why Stoicism matters here, because Stoicism trains you to see what is, not what your anxious heart imagines. It makes you calm still, observant, the very qualities that allow you to notice the unspoken signals of desire. So when we talk about decoding her lust, we're not talking about manipulation. We're talking about awareness, awareness of yourself, awareness of her, awareness of the moment. And Marcus Aurelius left us suggestions, timeless principles, that can be applied to modern love as sharply as they were to ruling an empire. In this guide, we will take 10 of those suggestions and connect them to the secret signs women give when they're drawn to you. We'll go deep into storytelling, because wisdom is never just abstract, it's lived, it's felt, it's breathed. Why most men miss the signs. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, we'll call him Daniel, once told me about a night years ago. He was sitting across from a woman he deeply liked. She laughed at his jokes, touched his arm gently, even leaned in close as though every word he spoke was music to her. And yet he did nothing. He convinced himself she was just being friendly, that if she really wanted him, she would make it crystal clear. By the end of the night, she went home with someone else. When he told me this story, his face was pale with regret. Man, I didn't see it, he said. I thought I was being respectful. But the truth is, I was blind. This happens every single day. Not because women are impossible to understand, but because men lack stillness, presence, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius would have said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Daniel's problem wasn't the woman. His problem was his mind. He didn't trust his perception. He wasn't present enough to see her signals for what they were. That's why we need Stoicism in love. Because when your mind is calm, you finally notice the small details, the subtle cues that reveal everything. The bridge between desire and Stoicism. Think about it like this. Desire is like fire. Left uncontrolled, it burns you. Denied entirely, it suffocates you. But if you learn to master it, it becomes warmth, light, and power. Marcus Aurelius didn't tell us to kill desire. He told us to understand it, to observe it without being ruled by it, And that's the exact skill you need to decode her lust. Because when you're not desperate for signs, you finally see them. When you're not chasing, you notice who is coming closer. When you're not needy, her small signals of attraction feel louder than a shout. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you through Marcus Aurelius' suggestions, each one a lesson in self-mastery, awareness, and presence. And for each, I'll show you how it connects directly to the silent signs she gives when she wants you. By the end, you'll have not only the tools to see desire in her, but also the discipline to control yourself, to respond with confidence, and to build attraction without force. The path ahead. In a moment, we'll begin with the first suggestion: control the mind before it controls you. Because if your mind is noisy with overthinking, you'll never hear the silent language of attraction. But once you master your inner world, the outer world opens itself to you. So are you ready? Are you ready to step into the mindset of a philosopher king, sharpen your awareness, and finally decode the signals women have been showing you all along? Let's begin. Part 2, suggestion. Verb 1, control the mind before it controls you. 700 words. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." At first glance, it sounds simple. But think about how often we fail at this. You meet a woman. She looks at you a certain way. Your mind begins to race. Does she like me? What if I say the wrong thing? Should I lean in, or is that too much? In that moment, you're no longer present. You're in your head, not in the room. And when you're trapped in your head, you can't see what's actually happening in front of you. The story of Marcus at the banquet. There's a story from Marcus's youth. Before he was emperor, he attended a Roman banquet. People laughed, flirted, and celebrated. Marcus noticed that whenever a certain noblewoman spoke, her eyes darted toward him, quickly, briefly but unmistakably. Others were too drunk on wine and noise to notice. But Marcus? He remained still. He didn't let excitement or ego rush him into misreading. He didn't let his mind shout louder than reality. He observed, quietly, calmly. And in that calm, the truth revealed itself. She desired him. The modern parallel. Now let me bring this to you. Imagine you're sitting across from a woman at a coffee shop. You're mid-conversation, and she brushes a strand of hair behind her ear while keeping eye contact with you. Is that just habit, or is it interest? Here's the secret. You'll never know if your mind is a storm. If your head is spinning with neediness or insecurity, you'll miss the obvious. But when you control the mind, when you quiet the noise, you suddenly see. You notice that she not only brushed her hair, but she leaned slightly closer afterward. You notice that her feet are pointed toward you, not the door. You notice her pupils dilating just a little as she laughs. These aren't fantasies. They're signals. But only the calm observer can decode them. Why men fail without this suggestion? Most men destroy their chances not because they're unattractive, but because they're unaware. They either 1. Overthink, drowning in analysis until they freeze. 2. Project desire, seeing signs that aren't there because they want them to be. Marcus Aurelius warned against both traps. He said, do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. In other words, don't overthink tomorrow. Don't create stories in your head. Just meet the moment with calm reason. If she's showing silent signs of lust, they'll reveal themselves when you're still enough to notice. A small exercise from Marcus. Here's something you can practice right now, taken straight from Stoic practice. The next time you're with a woman and you start overthinking, pause. Take one deep breath. Ask yourself what is actually happening right now. Not in my head, but right here in front of me. You'll be shocked at how much you suddenly notice. The glance, the lean, the hesitation before she leaves as though she wants to stay. These signals were always there. Your mind just had to be quiet enough to see them. The link to her silent signs. When a woman desires you, she often won't say it out loud. Instead, she lets her body and her energy speak. She lingers in the conversation. She mirrors your movements. She allows silence to hang without breaking it. But here's the key. Silence isn't emptiness. Silence is communication. And if your mind is roaring, you'll miss the whisper. Marcus Aurelius' first suggestion, control. The mind before it controls you is the foundation of decoding her lust. Because the man who controls his mind doesn't chase, doesn't panic, doesn't miss the obvious. He sees, he notices, he understands. So if you want to decode her desire, your first step is not to chase women. Your first step is to discipline your mind. Stillness sharpens perception, and perception reveals truth. Now that you've mastered the foundation, let's move to the second Marcus Aurelius suggestion, one that will change the way you interpret her eyes, because in her eyes lies the clearest sign of all. Part 3, suggestion, a 2. Learn to see through the eyes. 700 words. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And where does the soul reveal itself most clearly? Through the eyes. The eyes are the most ancient language of human connection. Long before words, before poetry, before even fire, our ancestors looked into each other's eyes to read intent, safety, and attraction. A single glance could say more than 1,000 speeches. The story of the gladiator's gaze. There's an account from Rome of a gladiator who captured the affection of a noblewoman. They never spoke in public, it was forbidden. But across the arena, as he stood bloodied and triumphant, she looked at him, and he looked back. In that silent exchange, everything was confessed. Her desire, his recognition, their secret bond. Marcus Aurelius, observing such moments, would note how much truth hides in the eyes. He trained himself to look past appearances to see what is real. The modern parallel. Fast forward to today. You're in a dimly lit bar. Music hums in the background. Across the room, a woman locks eyes with you for just a second too long. She looks away, then back again. Most men dismiss it. They think, oh, maybe it's random. Maybe she wasn't looking at me. But Marcus Aurelius would have told you, pay attention. Don't dismiss reality. Don't explain away what is obvious. A woman's gaze is rarely random when it lingers. When she holds it, breaks it, then returns to it, it's an unspoken signal of interest. It's the silent question, do you see me too? Why eyes matter more than words. Here's what you need to understand. Words can lie, smiles can be polite, but the eyes are brutally honest. When a woman desires you, her pupils may dilate, her gaze may soften, or she may look down shyly after meeting your eyes, then peek back again. Each of these is a signal, but only for the man still enough to notice. Marcus wrote, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. Apply that here. When you look into her eyes, don't just see color, see intent. See the truth bubbling beneath. The trap of avoidance. Let me tell you another story. A man I once coached, let's call him Aaron, was brilliant at conversation, but terrible at eye contact. Every time a woman looked at him, he'd quickly look away, afraid of being too intense. Do you know what happened? He missed countless signals. Women gave him the look, that silent invitation to lean closer, to escalate, to show confidence, but he avoided it, and so the moment died. Marcus Aurelius would have reminded Aaron, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. And if it is right, if she's clearly gazing with interest, then acknowledge it. Don't run. Don't flinch. Meet truth with presence. The Stoic way of eye contact. Here's the Stoic practice. When you notice her eyes on you, don't panic. Don't overthink. Simply hold the gaze calmly, briefly, with composure. You don't need to stare like a predator. You don't need to look away nervously. Think of Marcus Aurelius on the battlefield. Calm, steady, centered, even with chaos around him. That's how you hold her gaze. Because when you meet her eyes with quiet confidence, you're saying, I see you, and I'm not afraid to see you. That's powerful, that's magnetic. The link to her silent signs. A woman's eyes reveal more than any words ever could. When she looks at you and quickly glances away, then back again, it's not an accident. When her gaze lingers a little too long, she's inviting you into her world without speaking. When her eyes soften as you talk, she's letting you know she feels safe and drawn to you. But here's the warning, if your mind is clouded, if you're stuck in insecurity, you'll explain it away as coincidence. And if you're too aggressive, you'll misread polite glances as desire. The Stoic approach is balance. Calm presence, seeing without projecting. Learn to see through her eyes, not just the color, but the truth behind them. So the second suggestion is simple yet profound. Train yourself to read her eyes as Marcus Aurelius trained himself to read human nature, because in her gaze lies the clearest and most ancient signal of desire. Now, once you've learned to read the eyes, the next challenge is even harder, reading the silence. In the next suggestion, we'll uncover how Marcus Aurelius teaches us to interpret the pauses, the stillness and the unspoken tension between you and her. So take this wisdom with you. Begin to practice it. The next time you're with her, quiet your mind, meet her eyes, hold the silence. Watch what happens. Because when you see what others miss, you win without forcing, without chasing, without begging. You win simply by being aware. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.